Support WrestleTalk!
Follow us on Twitter.
Now I know what a few of you will be thinking just by reading the title. Yeah, of course they've botched that. I mean, this isn't really the hottest of hot takes in the world. The feud between Sasha Banks and Bayley has been truly awful. I have had hotter takes, I'll give you that. My super hot take on 205 last week, for example. Although, few people actually watched that one, proving my point that no one would watch weekly review videos. But that's by the by. Now, as far as I can tell, the storyline between Bayley and Sasha Banks has been brewing since the Huggers returned from injury in September last year. They were deemed the best of friends, but Corey Graves would often point out that Bayley cannot trust Sasha Banks. However, it really kicked into gear in January 2018. Banks eliminated Bayley from the Royal Rumble, and then the following month at Elimination Chamber, she pushed her off the pod to get her eliminated. This tension built towards WrestleMania, including a backstage brawl, and Bayley eliminated Banks from the not fabulous Moolah Battle Royal on the grandest stage of them all. So you'd think all of this would build to a match at Backlash, right? No. Instead, they've been on-again, off-again friends in backstage segments, had multiple matches against Riot Squad, and have had another backstage brawl that Wikipedia argues was a Bayley heel turn. And more recently, we've had Bayley and Sasha Banks in friends therapy. This feud ostensibly started in September 2017, and in July 2018, it doesn't feel like we've made the first step forward. Do you remember in the build-up to WrestleMania, there were people who genuinely felt that Sasha Banks versus Bayley was going to be on the WrestleMania card? Like, all of that build from the Rumble and Elimination Chamber was going to lead to a match at the biggest event of the year. And here we are, one day away from Extreme Rules, 3 pay-per-views removed from Mania, and they still haven't had the match. It's becoming a joke. I'm all for long-term booking. I think feuds benefit from long-term booking and storytelling, but WWE haven't done that with Banks and Bayley. These two have just had random segments that seemingly aren't connected to one another. They break up and fight, and then they're friends again the following week. Feels like this feud is Pulp Fiction and everything is being shown to us out of order. And then we've had these 2 weeks of pointless therapy session segments. Right, so get this, Kurt Angle feels that their infighting is too much, and although the Edict of Raw is to settle things in the ring, he sends Bayley and Banks to friends therapy, and yet puts Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens in a cage match. This predictably led to the return of Dr. Shelby on Monday Night Raw. Now let's be honest, the only reason we got these segments is because Team Hell No reunited on SmackDown Live, and it reminded Vince of Shelby and he wanted to recapture that lightning in a bottle. Now if you're new to the wrestling game, Dr. Shelby was a character that was brought in for some comedy skits that led to the formation of Team Hell No, who are challenging the Bludgeon Brothers to the tag team titles tomorrow night at Extreme Rules. Kane and Bryan worked so well together in these segments because their comedic timing was spot on, but the segments were really helped along by the man who played Shelby. The 3 of them created some of the funniest skits WWE have ever done, and it's not like this company is exactly known for doing comedy skits well. It created a tag team that was so fondly remembered the crowd popped for the return of Kane in 2018. So WWE tried to do this again, but this time with Bayley and Banks, and they did nothing. Aside from shouting enough, Shelby added nothing to these segments where he had little to say in the first place. Moreover, they were set up as comedy in the first segment with the elevator music, but then they played the rest of them straight. At least, I think they did. I mean, there were no attempts at jokes. At least I don't think Sasha Banks doing a mean-spirited impression of Bayley was supposed to be a joke. Neither Bayley or Banks played anything for laughs. The segments just felt odd, cold, and ultimately pointless. And clearly WWE thought so too, as Shelby wasn't there for the second week, and they didn't do anything in the segments, even though there were somehow 3 of them on the show. And even then, Michael Cole talked over 2 of them. The current rumor is this is all leading to SummerSlam, where these 2 will finally collide. But does anyone really care at this point? Honestly, does anyone watching this video really care about this storyline culminating at the biggest party of the summer? And that's a real bummer, because this was a really easy feud to book. The whole reason to pay this off at SummerSlam is because it will be the anniversary of the incredible Bayley vs. Sasha Banks match from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in 2014. A stonking championship match between the 2 that finally gave the NXT audience the moment they've been clamoring for. The coronation of Bayley as NXT Women's Champion. Banks was the perfect heel, Bayley was the perfect babyface. It was the perfect story told at the perfect time in front of the perfect crowd. It was an emotional moment, a defining moment for the brand, really a defining moment for women's wrestling in WWE. I cried when Bayley won the NXT Women's Championship. But here we are just 4 years later, and they don't even feel like the same people. Now we just have them in random backstage brawls that go nowhere and comedy skits with no actual comedy in them. And unlike Brooklyn, no one cares this time. It's just really sad. Perhaps this is all building to the women's tag team division, and Bayley and Banks will become the regular odd couple, winning the titles despite not really being friends. And then one of them turns on the other, and they do another match down the line. But at the moment, I feel like they're the female couple in WWE that have the least amount of heat. Even Riot Squad feel more interesting and developed, and that's the Riot Squad. This was so easy to get right, and yet again WWE swing and miss. We've got other opinion-based videos here on WrestleTalk, including that 205 Live one I mentioned earlier. Click the videos on screen right now to check those out. I've been Luke Owen, and that was just my opinion.